TV. This program is brought to you by Ignite TV. Now you're in command. Visit Rogers.com for more details.
And Lynda, welcome back to you as well to Third Eye View.
Thank you.
You are down in South Carolina, down on the beach. But you were saying it was actually warmer in Hamilton this morning. So now I'm not so jealous anymore. Since you were last on the show, you have made some decisions to go into some new directions and new areas. Mm-hmm. And I think that they are absolutely awesome. So that's why I have you back on the show to talk about it.
Thanks.
Right. So one of the things that you're doing is a podcast. And yes, would you like to tell us about that and the whys and wherefores and
absolutely. Yeah. Well, first of all, thanks for having me back. And I might want to just throw in here that Lynn and I tried to do this last week. I had my grandchildren at my house, and my husband doesn't have the most patience in the world. And as it turns out, he was going to try to watch the kids while we were going to do this, and I was upside down. And I don't know what happened. Obviously, I think just from recording different things that I've done, I may have screwed up my settings, but Lynn's like, I think maybe the universe is telling us that we are supposed to be doing this today. So I'm happy to be right side up this morning.
Yes.
Oh gosh, that was too funny. But yeah, so thank you for having me back. I truly appreciate that. And the whole thing about the podcast, the last time I was on your show, I was talking about how I got my crystal Reiki certification. I've got my crystal healing bodywork certification. I have, I'm a Reiki master now. I make crystal bracelets. So I've just been, focusing the last few years on trying to find healing modalities to help other people. And it's been great. And like, I sell a lot of bracelets on Etsy, which is wonderful. And they're all meant for, different ailments of the body or mind or what have you, whatever dis-ease is going on. And so that's been great. I've loved that, but it just felt like there was something more that I needed to do. And I just couldn't figure out what it was. So I, did the whole crystal healing, practitioner thing from 2 different schools, did the Reiki master's course, but yet still just not feeling that this was enough. So the next thing I thought of was that maybe I want to do a retreat. Mm-hmm. And we kind of talked about that a little bit on the last show, that because you do this laughing yoga. And I was like, oh my God, that would be just so amazing, because laughter is just the best medicine. It really is. And so I thought, oh my gosh, maybe Lynn could come. And so I started to go in that direction of, okay, maybe that's what I meant to do. And started to look into that and went, okay, so you have to have insurance. And if you're having an overnight thing, it has to be all done through TICO, through the Travel Insurance something of Ontario. And you have to have it booked through them. And oh my God, it was just a huge, big rigmarole. And I was like, oh my God, I'm so disappointed, because there were already people that were interested in that concept. And I thought, what a shame that I can't do this right now. And I thought, I suppose I could, go further and try and do it and get insurance and go all the proper route. But I'm like, oh, people are so funny these days, and they can sue you over anything. And my first thought being that, oh my gosh, we do some kind of a meditation And the next day the person leaves and they say, oh, I crashed my car, or they must have been from that meditation that we did last night. And I'm like, no, I can't, right? Because
Yeah.
you never know. You just don't know what's going to happen.
No, you don't.
So I was like, okay, forget it. That's not going to work. So then all of a sudden, just boom, something said, you need to do podcasts. And I'm like, okay, what the heck am I going to do with this? Like, oh my God. So I just started doing it. And what my podcast is called is From Darkness to Love and Light. And what I want this thing to be all about is basically women who have had trauma or whatever, have gone through dark moments in their lives, and what they did to move forward. How did they get out of that? How did they get into that point of finding love, finding light, finding peace within themselves, right? There's a lot of stories of celebrities out there that have things like this. They tell their story and share their story. And I mean, they have that avenue that they're able to, like, get on TV shows and share their stories of inspiration. But what about all of us, just the regular, normal women of this world?
Yeah. And, when you have someone come on and like you say, just a normal, average woman.
Yeah.
And don't forget men either.
Mm.
Okay. Because there's a lot of men out there that have gone through tough times, that have been in abusive relationships and marriages and all of that as well.
That's true.
And even though your focus is on women, maybe do the odd little section on men.
Yeah.
For some reason it's going to work in your favor. But anyway, when you hear about celebrities doing it, it's like, oh yeah, now they've got this, and well, how do you do that? But when you hear it from an average woman, I believe it is more inspirational.
Well, this is my hope. And, like literally every episode that I have, done so far, I don't know, there's like 5 or 6 of them, I think, right now. I haven't edited them at all. And I really don't intend to edit them at all. And I mean, unless I had somebody on who said, you know what, I've changed my mind. I don't want that thing that I said about this being aired. If you can just take that out, of course I'm going to do that, right? Yeah. But otherwise, whatever comes out of our mouths while we speak is the honest truth. And that's what I want it to be about. There's no script. I don't follow any script. It just is. And just like we're doing right here, right now,
Yeah. I think that when you start editing, first of all, when it's not edited, when you're first talking about it, it really is. It's coming from the heart, whether it's happy, whether it's anger, whatever it is still coming from the heart. And if it's anger, it needs to be released.
Yes.
Okay? When you start editing, I think that you take a part of that away. You take part of the realism away from it. Exactly. And the real heartfelt. That makes sense.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, that's just exactly why I want it to be real. Like, I don't want anybody to say, well, that just sounded a little like too, perfect or something. Like, no, just let us just talk. Let our voices be whatever they are going to be. Let us say whatever we need to say, right? Like, that's what's the most important thing. And so, like, as I said earlier, that when we, talking about whatever the darkness was, like, maybe for me right now, what I might do is, if that's cool with you, is sort of share my darkness moments. And, well, we already kind of know what my love to light thing is, but I can kind of go back there as well. But yeah, like, just to kind of backtrack in my life, what has gone on and how I've kind of climbed out of that darkness. And, for me, it stemmed from my childhood. There was a lot of stuff that happened in my home that was not good. Not a child shouldn't have grown up that way.
Mm-hmm.
And I had a father who just constantly criticized me, put me down, you know, always made fun of me. I had a younger brother, and it was like he was the golden child, like, I mean, I protected him too because of the craziness in the house or whatever. But he was a hockey player, and he was a really good hockey player. Well, I was a soccer player, and tried, as the years went by, I tried to become the best soccer player so my father would come and watch me play, but he never did. And what was he doing? He was having sex with my next door neighbor, or all kinds of crazy, terrible things that went on, right? Like,
Yeah.
so there was a lot of booze. There was a lot of fighting. There was a lot of unstable stuff. Now, we did, fortunately enough, when we were kids, we went to our grandparents' house an awful lot. And so that was, like, I guess, the biggest saving grace that we had was we got to go there and have a normal weekend.
Mm-hmm.
But I remember crying, always coming home from their house. Like, I'm just like, I don't want to go home. I want to stay with Nan and Papa. I don't want to go home, like, so, but I don't remember a lot of my childhood. And so I know that there's a lot of people out there that are in the same boat as me. And I think we don't necessarily have to remember everything, because maybe that might be a bit too much.
Yeah.
But I think us talking about it and having other people go, oh, that happened to me too, like, that's where it really helps. So a lot of it was, I mean, well, most of everything that has gone on in my life is as a result of your childhood trauma. I mean, the effect that it has on your life, right? It's just, it's the most powerful thing. Oh, look, I'm just looking. It's 11:11.
Oh, it is so. Well,
Oh.
there we are. The angels are giving us confirmation on something.
Yep. That's so
You're
cool.
heading in the right direction. Now,
Yep.
one of the things that I am feeling with regards to retreats and workshops, okay, because I do see you doing some, but not necessarily running them.
Okay.
Okay. But if someone else is having a retreat, I see you going there as a guest speaker.
Okay.
So to speak, to do with empowering women.
Yeah.
Empower. And I'm actually going to change that, because I see it also as empowering people. All right. And there's, I know some men that have been in really, really bad relationships and have been abused severely with these. And they need groups too. Maybe
Absolutely.
they need something run by a man. Get your husband involved. But
oh God,
yeah,
no.
but
he thinks I'm a little crazy as it is.
Yeah. But the thing is, with women, I think being with other like-minded women, and what you say, hearing other stories, it's like, well, yeah, I can relate to that. And it takes that feeling of being alone.
Yes.
Away from it.
Yeah.
And it's,
absolutely.
Wow, you went through that, and look at you, you turned out okay. So I can't be so bad after all,
Sort of okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's true. But I mean, I think the thing is too, I don't know. I think because the majority of my my issues, my inner child stuff, it is related to my father. There is
Yeah.
a lot. It's very hard for me to, I guess, have that understanding. I don't think it's not compassion, because I am an empath. I care about everybody. But I think for me, and what I want to do is, I think this space, this podcast is I think is going to be just for women only, because I feel like that's what they need out there. I mean,
Okay.
and you're
Yeah.
right though, Lynn. Like, I do understand and appreciate there are a ton of men that have been
Right.
abused.
Now,
But I don't know if that's my thing, because I have a lot of issues with men and stuff.
exactly. And what I'm being told, because you said to me, if I get anything, to let
Yes, absolutely.
even though your main focus has to be on women,
Mhm,
you also need to do some with men,
mhm.
because and I see you shut right down when I talk about it. I can see it.
Yeah.
The guards go up.
Yeah, I can feel it in my body. Yeah.
Yeah. But what I'm being told is that with you maybe doing the odd group with men, and it may only be 1 or 2 a year,
Mhm.
it will be a healing process for you.
You know what? I just got shivers all over my body.
Well, there we go. Confirmation.
Yeah. You're right. You're right. You know,
Okay.
like, and maybe
Yeah.
that's maybe that's a lesson that we have to learn. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
what they're telling me is, because it will be a healing process for you, any blocks, any anger that you have towards men,
Mhm.
it will diminish that,
Mhm.
so that you will be able to actually work better with women without those walls, without those barriers.
Right. Without having that, like, I know those,
Yeah,
SOB, like, just like,
exactly.
yeah,
Exactly.
I mean, everybody's human, and, nobody's perfect, but yeah.
I
Yeah,
had
you're right.
I had a client the other week,
Mhm.
and we were talking about different things in the reading, and she was telling me about her son, and she's having a hard time with him. And one of the things that because she had had a really tough time, she has just relationships with men are just, she's gone
Mhm.
from one bad one to a worse one to a bad one.
Mhm.
And when we were talking, she had that aha moment that she was putting that anger towards men, putting it on her son. Well, you're a man. I don't like you.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
So this is something where releasing a lot of this garbage, because it comes
Yeah.
out and manifests in so many ways in our life.
Yep. It's funny that you would say that, because last night I was sitting here and I was listening. I have some, like, some app, and on there was a Louise Hay book, and I
Mhm.
started, like, or like, not a book, but like an audio book, I guess.
Okay.
And it was all about positive affirmations and the positive self-talk, right? And it's just so
Mhm.
funny, because there's been a whole lot of just clarity for me of what I need to do going forward, more so for myself.
Good.
Yeah, that I just was like, okay, I'm doing all these things, and that's great. And some of what I do does help me, but I'm not focusing enough on myself either. And unless I
And you
can
have
really,
to.
yeah, unless I can really do that, I I'm not going to get that far. So I need to be a better example for people out there. And so that started with that. I listening to Louise Hay last night, and then I started on this book that I brought down. This girl, Sierra Rubin, she just wrote a book, and it's all about, like, getting learning how to work on your intuition.
Mhm.
So I started doing that, and then I did yoga. I did boho yoga, which this morning, which was, like, super cool.
Oh, wow.
And then I did a meditation. So I'm
Good.
like, good for me.
Yeah.
Like, I was so proud of myself for doing that. And it like just, and it felt so good to do it.
See, now one of the things that they like when I talk about they, I'm sure everyone realizes, I mean my guides, angels, whatever. But one of the things they're telling me is that with this podcast, you're helping a lot of women heal. Okay. Which in essence makes you a healer. But the healer has to be healed first.
Yeah. Yeah.
All
Yeah.
right. And the healer has to look after herself, has to look after her well-being.
Yeah.
So that when when you're healing other people, it's not pulling you down, it's lifting you up.
Right. Right.
That makes sense.
It does. It does. And it's all like, it's so part of this process that I have to learn that too. It's okay for me to always, it's good. It's nice that I want to give and I care and I'm empathetic to everything, but I need to still keep reminding myself that I have to heal me too. I need to do more of that, like I've done a lot, but it's still not enough. And so that, even though this podcast is going on in the mindset of helping other people heal, it's a progress too, right? Like maybe people will start to see, geez, Lynda, even in your podcast, you can see that you've healed yourself more. You sound more healed, So it's something that we can all grow together with. It's just, there's always going to be work to do, I think. I don't think anybody is ever going to be perfectly at peace and, so we do it together.
Yeah, I agree with you and of course, the older you get, the more baggage you acquire along the way.
Yep.
And the baggage from when you were young, you've held on to it for so long that it's got a really good grip.
Yeah.
And it's, the old saying, sometimes we're happy with the misery we have than the misery we don't, or that we don't know.
Right.
Because even though you're not happy, there's that feeling, well, I know I'm safe. Well, maybe not necessarily safe, but you are. It's like, well, I'm safe here. I might not be happy, but I don't know what's on the other side. And usually anyone that has been in an abusive relationship, you're pulled down so much that you don't have the confidence to move forward because your thought is, oh, well, I'm not good enough.
Exactly.
Well, I can't do it.
Exactly. And I mean, who is anybody in this world to make you feel like that? You should never feel like that. You are entitled to feel confident and safe and secure and allowed to live this life your way, and that's, so like, one of the things, so I had a CT scan done last Wednesday.
That's right. How did that go?
Well, the guy, when he did it, he's like, oh, hi. He said, apparently I'm not very friendly. So I want to message or say my name or whatever. So he says his name and he was all like nice and stuff. And we get in there and I had to have the contrast. And so he does it. And then as we're walking out, I'm like, oh, shoot, he's not saying anything. And his face is just blank. And I'm like, oh, okay, now I'm scared. And so I'm like, oh no. So we left to come down to Myrtle on Friday morning early, and we stopped for lunch and I got on Wi-Fi at the restaurant. And while I was eating, I saw a message come up saying, my chart, you have test results. And I went, so my husband's like, you're not going to read that, are you? And I'm like, yeah, I am. And he goes, oh, Lynda, are you sure? And I'm like, yes. And so, but I was so surprised that I was getting the CT results through my chart because I have an appointment booked with my oncologist on May 8th. And so I didn't expect to find out anything until then. So figuring, okay, I'm going to be on vacation for 2 weeks, and then the back of my mind is going to be this like, oh gosh, I wonder if there's cancer in my body, blah, 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 right? Anyway, I read through all the report and it said there is no cancer anywhere. And I was like, yes, I was so excited.
Congratulations.
You. So that, like, you know, I mean, that's sort of part of the darkness that I went through. And I feel like so grateful that I have this opportunity to move forward in my life and know that my body is healthy. So now let's get it healthier. Let's start doing more things that are good for your body. I mean, I believe that, you know, when our time is up, our time is up. But look, if I've got 20 more years,
you want to be healthy.
I want to be healthy. I mean, I'm not going to be able to change the outcome of when I die, but in that time frame, I can change how I'm treating myself and how my body is working. So that's where this morning it really came to me that I was like, no, you get down there. You do this yoga for you, Lynda. Like you're, you know, like just start treating yourself that you deserve better. And that's my want and hope for everybody is that, you know, that they don't wait until something like this comes along, that they start this path earlier, that they give themselves the love they deserve to give themselves. Yeah. And just, you know, I know it's hard. I understand. Like, I mean, we all go through like rough things, and we all, you know, maybe overindulge on food or whatever the case might be. But we can change our path, like, of health. Like we can't make anybody else change. Like, and so that's like another thing that, you know, that I went through. And like, I have been sober almost 9 years. July 15th will be 9 years sober.
Fantastic.
And alcoholism runs in the family. And it's just, you know, I mean, there's, oh my God, there's alcoholism in probably so many families. Like,
absolutely. Absolutely. It's in my family.
Yeah. That people don't realize how bad it really is out there, you know, and how it drives me crazy because it's so accepted. But, so it, you know, I became sober in July, 2015, but my son, Ryan, he was 35 years old and he died on December 6, 2021 of severe alcoholic cirrhosis of the liver. Oh. He suffered forever with anxiety and agoraphobia. Just, he was locked in his apartment with his girlfriend, who had her own issues, which I didn't realize until after he passed away. So I lived for the first few years with so much guilt, thinking I should have done more, I should have known more. But I really have come to that realization that there is nothing in the world I could have done for Ryan.
You couldn't.
He had to do it for himself. If he wanted to quit drinking, it was his thing to do. He wasn't meant to stay here for any longer.
It's like, okay, it was smoking. Because I used to be a smoker. And the number of times that I tried to quit, but I was always quitting for somebody else to make them happy, right?
Right.
And it's the same with alcoholism. You've got, if you're doing it to make someone else happy, it's not going to work.
Right.
You have to do it for yourself because you want to, because you're ready. But it's time for us to take a short break.
Yeah.
And when we come back, we'll talk a little bit more on this. And then we're going to talk about some ghost stories down in South Carolina.
Yay! I got the shivers. Can't wait.
All right. So don't go away.
Sports is life. It's clear cut. Everything's out in the open. There's nowhere to hide. I had to prove myself more than anyone else.
You must be so proud of your son. He's gonna go pro. The sky's the limit.
There's always a winner and a loser.
You cannot reach the sky in broken cleats.
Of course, I always want to be the winner. And I did reach the sky.
Norman Kwok, the first Chinese-Canadian professional football player, still holds records to this day. He retired from the sport in 1960 and later became Lieutenant Governor of Alberta.
Bless you.
And welcome back. So first of all, we're going to continue the conversation that we had going. Now, one of the things that I do want to ask Lynda, if somebody is interested in your podcast, they want to watch it, they have a story to tell,
Yeah.
how do they get hold of you?
So the podcast is actually now on Spotify, and I just got it on Apple Podcasts as well. So it's available on those two platforms. I think I just put it on YouTube. I'm not really sure, but I think I did.
Sound like me, I think.
Oh, yeah. I don't know, but those are the two main ones that it's on. So, and again, it's called From Darkness to Love and Light. So you'll be able to find it there that way. And then also, if anybody, wanted to be a guest, the best way to reach me is through my email. So, I don't know if that can be put up at the end of the show for you, that you can, if we could write it or something, but if not, it's Lynda, so Lynda.Hugessen, so Hugessen at gmail.com. Lynda.Hugessen@gmail.com. Yeah. So, yeah. But yeah, I welcome it. It doesn't have to be any stories that are being discussed on the podcast don't have to be the same stories as like things that I've gone through. It could be anything else. It could be, maybe a woman going through divorce or struggling with an eating disorder, like whatever the darkness is, whatever.
Yeah.
It could be anything, right? It doesn't have to be the things that I've talked about, obviously, right?
No. And, eating disorders and things like that, they're a lot more common than people realize.
Yeah.
And they're not fun.
No, they're not. I mean,
Not.
that's like when I quit drinking, oh my God, I could not stop eating sugar, but I was replacing that sugar loss, right? With sweet stuff all the time. And so, like, it's just, so you have to watch that. Like, it just becomes that it could become a craving. It could become out of control too. So yeah, it's very easy to fall in that trap.
Oh God, it is. When I was in my early 20s, I was over in England for a while, and I had taken a modeling course, so I was doing a little bit of modeling.
Oh.
And I went to apply for a runway model with Lucy Yeager over there. And I had heard that they liked the models super thin. Now, of course, this is back in the days of Twiggy, right?
Okay, yep.
So I went on this crash diet. I got myself down to 108 pounds.
Oh my God.
Okay. I mean, I've gotten shorter over the years, but I was just a touch over 5'6". I was just under 5'7".
Right.
So that was really skinny. And I got there and don't you know it? I didn't get the job because I was too skinny.
No way.
Yeah.
Oh,
And so that was it. I just thought, no, I'm done.
yeah.
I can't do this. And one of the things, and I remember when I got up to 120 pounds, I felt like the Goodyear blimp. And if I got down to 120 now, I'd be skin and bone.
Oh my gosh, I know. And
You
I
know?
mean, that's the thing. It also really, it really bothers me because the weight thing, what your actual weight should be for your height, what they tell you is supposed to be good, is absolutely ridiculous.
I agree.
It's ridiculous. I mean, I'm sorry, but what my weight should be, my lowest weight was on my chart is, I think it was like 118 pounds. I was 118 pounds when I was playing rep soccer at 18 years old, fit as a fiddle.
Yep.
And you're trying to tell me that I should be in that range? Like,
not now, not when you get older. This is what
No.
they don't take age into consideration.
no,
And our bodies change.
they do. They do. And it's okay. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. It's
If
just so much.
you are comfortable in your skin,
Yeah,
that's what counts.
absolutely.
And all of this, and I'm going to call it nonsense because I think it is, where young girls are body shamed
hmm
because they don't fit into a certain profile. Well,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but that is just a load of BS because
It
it's not right. It's not fair. It causes a lot of stress,
Yeah.
anxiety, I'm sure suicide,
hmm
because, yeah.
And then I
And
think, like it's that thing too. Like, it's like, well, I shouldn't be like all the pressure on yourself. And then you're like, then you end up doing more harm because
Well, you
it's just,
do.
you're more stressed out.
And one of the things that you see a lot on commercial ads on Facebook
Mm,
is anti-aging
mm,
and dressing age appropriate.
yeah.
Well, you know what? If you're comfortable, wear it.
Listen, I said that this morning. I've said it a few times through my life. My mom passed away at 59 years old from cancer.
Oh, Lynda, I'm sorry.
She got, can't thank you. She got cancer when she was 51, kidney cancer. And then it had later metastasized to her lungs. And then eventually it went to her brain. And she died when she was 59. I got cancer when I was 55. And I was petrified that I was not going to make it until 60, right? Like, I'm like, oh, well, same pattern of life is going to happen to me that happened to my mom, sort of thing. So it was pretty hard to not get lost in that, And anti-aging stuff, are you kidding me? I don't give a shit about the lines on my forehead or the lines around my mouth. And I'm not going to do anything to change it because I'm alive. This is part of my journey.
That's right.
Like I'm so grateful to be alive. And I'm not going to change that,
No. I think that you're lucky if you grow old.
Yes.
Look at all of those
Absolutely.
that haven't.
Yeah, exactly. Like, here's my mom, 59 years old, my mom. My son, 35 years old. They didn't get that opportunity to live a long life, right? Like, so no, just who cares?
Be proud of who you are. And I think that is, no matter how old you are, no matter what ethnicity you are.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't care. Be proud of who you are. Be proud of what you have accomplished. Never mind mistakes you've made. Learn from them. Move on.
That's right.
That's how we learn.
Absolutely.
And too many, it's one of the things I find is that too many people focus on what someone has done wrong.
Mm-hmm.
They don't stop to think of all the good, wonderful things that they have accomplished.
Right.
And
Exactly.
speaking of the past, oh, have I got some ghost stories to tell you?
That's right. Oh my gosh. Let me hear.
Okay. Now, I think that one of the most well-known ghost stories down in South Carolina, like in the Myrtle Beach, I think Merrill's Inlet area, is that of Alice Flagg. And I told you about her the other week.
Yes.
Last week.
Yeah.
But Alice, she was a young girl, and her family owned a rice plantation in South Carolina. Now, she met, and they were obviously very well to do. Her brother Allard was a doctor. Now, she met a young man whose family were in the lumber business. And her mother, the comment she made to Alice was, how can you make a mark in life, your mark in life, if you're with a lumberman? You don't go below your station.
Whoa.
Okay? So she would meet him secretly. And he gave her a ring that she wore on a chain around her neck. Well, her brother Allard got wind that she was still seeing this fellow. So she was sent to an all-girls school in Charleston called Madame Talbonde's. And every day she would go down to the pier to see if she could see the ship of her young love. And rain or shine, she would go. Well, one day she got back and she was cold, she was shivering, she caught the flu. She ended up with pneumonia. So they got hold of Allard and he went to pick her up. So what is basically a 1-hour drive, back then was a 3-day trip.
Oh my goodness.
Because of course, right? Horse and buggy. Like
Yeah,
this back in the about mid 1800s.
Okay, yeah.
And so anyway, he brought her back and they took her up to her room, undressed her, and they saw the ring, chain around her neck. Well, they pulled it off and they threw it out the window. All right. She died. And they say that her ghost still comes back looking for that ring. Right. Her, and I believe she's buried in Merrill's Inlet. But you can probably find out.
Yeah.
And her gravestone, it's just a flat gravestone. Like it doesn't sit up or anything. It's just flat. And it's just all it has on it is Alice. And they say that if you walk backwards around it 3 times, that she will appear. So of course, I had to try it, right?
Oh my gosh.
Of course,
I love ghosts, but I'm also so terrified.
Oh no, she won't hurt you. And absolutely, yes, she did appear.
Wow.
And a couple of times we felt her at our townhouse down there.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So she came around because she knew that we could feel her, that we could sense her, that we knew she was there.
Right.
And so she came around a few times and yeah.
Jeez.
And excuse me, in Charleston, there's a house. Now there's several ghost tours down there. And one of the houses on the tour belonged to Charles the Goat.
Okay.
And this was Civil War era. So we went there, beautiful old house, great big old house. And we went there and all of a sudden my hip really hurt and I started limping. And I couldn't stop limping. And my daughter, Nicole, was with me and she said, Mom, what's wrong? And I said, I don't know, I feel like I've got ball shot in my hip. Well, of course, I didn't know what that even was, right?
Right.
But from the muskets, what they shot with, it was called ball shot.
Wow.
All right. So I am limping around the house and different ones are looking at me, giving me this strange look. So once we walked out of the house and we left the property, got to the sidewalk, the limp went.
My goodness.
and so did the pain.
Wow.
And so we did a little bit of research on Charles Legault.
Yeah.
And during the Civil War, he was shot in the hip. He was wounded, and he was shot with ball shot.
Jeez, that's incredible.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah,
That's amazing.
yeah. So that was really interesting.
Oh,
And
God.
is it the old courthouse in Charleston?
Mm-hmm.
It's a great big building. Anyway, we went in there, went upstairs, and I could smell pipe tobacco,
Okay.
and very, very pungent, very, very strong. So of course I did a little bit of research into it, and the room where I smelt it had actually been a gentleman's room where the men would sit and talk and smoke their pipes and, have some brandy or whiskey, whatever.
Right.
And there was that. And then there was another room where I could sense and I could see people dancing.
Mm-hmm.
And that's an experience I've had in several different places.
Mm.
And I could hear the music, and I could actually visually see them waltzing around this room,
Wow.
and found out it had been a ballroom.
That's amazing. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So not all stories with spirit are scary.
No.
There is a cemetery there, a churchyard, and it is considered to be the most haunted in, I believe, all of South Carolina, if not more than that. I went into it. I literally backed out.
Really?
Yeah, I wouldn't turn my back. I wouldn't turn around to walk out. I wouldn't turn my back on it. It was so thick. The energy was so thick, and it was so negative that I thought, nope, I don't even want to turn. I don't want to turn my back on them. And I literally walked out.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's scary.
Yeah, that one was kind of creepy.
Yeah.
Now, there's another one. John, the couple's name were John and Lavinia. And they owned a tavern, and I think it was 13 miles out of Charleston. It was 13 Mile Tavern, maybe it was called. Like, this is when I'm really reaching back in my memory on this one.
Right.
They would, when different ones, if they had money, they would, when they stopped there, Lavinia would poison them, and she would kill them in their sleep. And the bed literally flipped over into a hole in the ground.
Oh my God, that's hysterical.
Okay, they would flip the bed over, and the body would be gone, and they would take the money. Well, this one man, he caught on to it, and he was able to get away. He slipped away in the night, and they ended up that they were charged, found guilty, and she was hung. She was hung, and what was it? She cursed everybody, and she said her last words were, "I will see," and she pointed to somebody, and her last words were, "I will see you in hell." Yeah.
Wow.
So that's kind of, I wouldn't want to channel with that one.
No.
It was a little on the creepy side.
My gosh, that's crazy though, eh?
And, sometimes spirits are there to help us. And prime example of that one is the gray man. And
okay. I'm making notes on some of the things.
Yeah, he was a sailor, I believe. I think I've got my story straight on this one. I'm not mixing it up with another one. But anyway, He was at sea and he found out that there was a hurricane coming, and his fiance lived in Merrill's Inlet, and he tried to get back in time in order to save her. And I don't think he was able to. Like I say, these stories are from way, way back.
Yeah.
So every time now that there is a hurricane, one family will see him walking the beach. And that family, their home will be saved.
Oh, wow.
The last recorded incidents of seeing a family seeing him was during Hurricane Hugo. And the family that saw him, of course, they left with everybody else. And when they got back, the houses on either side totally destroyed. Theirs was still standing. In their haste, when they left towels, beach towels, hanging over the balcony, over the railing.
Yeah.
Those beach towels were not touched. There wasn't a wrinkle in them. And
isn't that incredible?
Isn't it? And it's like there was a bubble that was put around that house, and the hurricane completely missed it.
Wow.
Yeah. So, sometimes they're there for warnings.
Yeah.
Sometimes they are looking for stuff. They're looking for something.
Right.
And there's times that they don't realize that they're dead.
Well, let me ask you a question if you don't mind. It's, I recently was like, partook in some kind of like a, getting yourself better thing, podcast thing, not a podcast thing, a webinar thing. And the girl was talking about having a spirit attached to you.
Yep.
And that there's a certain period of time where it was very common that they were attached to you. And it sort of fell into when I would have been born. And I'm like, well, that's kind of interesting, because I've always had this weird thing about my throat and about being sticky. So, and I'm like, is that generational stuff, or is it was there a spirit that was attached that was hung or had their throat slashed or something? Like, why have I got this sticky, I hate being sticky on my throat thing? Oh, we froze. What? Okay, that was weird. I don't know what happened. I'm not sure if we're still on. Keep going. Okay. But yeah, so it was a really strange thing, like that the spirit thing being attached or whatever to my body, and I don't really know what that meant. Okay. So
anyway, I'm not sure what happened there.
Yeah. Maybe I do have a spirit attached to me that I need to get rid of.
You never know. You never know, right?
Just all of a sudden I'm telling you, and then you were gone.
Yeah, I was completely gone. I was knocked right off and reconnected. And
okay, so maybe we need to have a session, and you need to get rid of the spirit that's attached to me. What the heck?
Oh yeah, but no, spirit, they can connect to a person, they can connect to a property, to an object.
Right.
Years back, I had a neighbor who she went to an auction or something, but she bought an old bed, secondhand. It was an antique. And every morning, and she cleaned it, she dusted it, she polished it all the time. It was wood. But every morning there were footprints.
Footprints?
Footprints.
Oh my goodness.
On the headboard. Yeah. And they never had problems sleeping or anything like that. But Yeah.
That's so funny.
So they can definitely connect
Yeah,
to, like I say, a person, an object, a property.
right.
I know we have spirit that are connected to our property.
Mm.
And it's funny because, I've had people come for readings and, we get talking about spirit and they're, oh, I wouldn't want to be in a haunted house. And I'm sitting there thinking, yes, and you're telling me how wonderfully comfortable you are in my house, which is full of spirit.
Right. That's so funny.
Yeah, it is, because I think that our place is a portal of some sort.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, because we get a lot that come and go. We get a few that stay.
How old is the house?
It was built in the mid to late 1870s. It was it was built around 1876, I believe.
Oh,
in that
wow.
time frame.
Okay.
And when it was first built, it was built as the rectory for the Anglican Church. Yeah. So the ministers, the one minister in particular, his first name is John, but he hangs around. He's not around as much as he was when we first came here.
Okay.
But every so often he'll come and he'll help me with a reading. And I know he's here because I get preachy.
That's so funny. Oh my gosh.
It is. I mean, they really can be funny.
Yeah.
My best friend, David, who passed away, David was gay. And if I have someone here who is struggling with their sexuality, David will come through.
Wow.
And he will help me with it.
Oh, that's so awesome.
Yeah, it really
I love that.
is. Yeah.
Oh.
So we've only got maybe about a minute or so left. And I do want to go over one last time if somebody wants to get hold of you.
Yeah.
Interested in your, not just listening to your podcast, if they have a story to tell.
Absolutely. And that, that's the most important thing, is that I just want this to be open to anybody who wants to come on. And yeah, so again, the easiest way, they can find me on Spotify, From Darkness to Love and Light, or on Apple Podcast, again, From Darkness to Love and Light. Or if they want, they can reach me at Lynda with a Y, Lynda.Hugessen, Hugessen @gmail.com. And I would love to host anybody who wants to come on and share their story of inspiration and hope and just love.
Yeah. No, yeah. I think it's wonderful.
Yeah, thanks.
I really do. It's I think it's something that's needed.
Yeah.
But I do believe that we are at the end of the show.
That went so quick.
Oh, it really does, doesn't it? Doesn't it?
Connect with us by visiting our website or email us at comments@rogerstv.com.
These days at your local Legion, we're marching to the beat of a different drum. On a mission to support veterans, to have fun, and to welcome everyone to our ranks. You don't have to be a veteran to join the Legion. And as a member, you'll join thousands of others serving our veterans, our communities, and our country. Oh yeah, and our Member Perks program will save you thousands on shopping, dining, products, and services across the country. Join us at legion.ca.
Everyone wants to know about everything Blue Jays.
Blair and Barker, know what's up.
Over under an 86.5 wins.
I'm going to go over.
What's the story on Blue Jays Central?
Jamie, this Blue Jays lineup has a chance to win a ball game. Should be a good finish.
Joe, it's going to get exciting. Let's get you back to the ballpark.
That ball's driven to deep left field. Gone! And the Blue Jays win it!
Only one network has everything.
Sportsnet, home of the Blue Jays.
Public transit, garbage pickup, parks and recreation programs.